Hello. Uh, as we know, Corona have become pandemic and it's a possible threat to human lives across the world. And there are no approved drugs or vaccine is currently available to control this COVID-19. So the title of our research is molecular docking study of phytochemical showing anti-COVID-19 activity. In our study, we have targeted the empro protein of the coronavirus, which is a very important protein of coronavirus, as it play an important role in mediating the replication and transcription of the virus. So it could be a good target to discover a antiviral agent. Then we have targeted this protein with phytochemicals, biologically uh, active phytochemicals. In phytochemicals we have focused on flavonols because they are said to be a good inhibitor of replication or transcription process in other viruses. Uh, then we have selected 8 natural molecules and their structures were downloaded using PubChem database, and then they were uploaded on COVID-19 docking server. It's an online interactive server to perform docking analysis on coronavirus structure, in which they have collected or built the structure based on homology of coronavirus. It basically predicts the binding mode between the coronavirus protein and small molecule by implementing of autodoc vina, which make it a useful tool for drug discovery of COVID-19. After successful docking, we get to know that out of 8 molecules which we have selected, 3 phytochemical shows the best results, which was selected on basis of binding score, because negative the binding score, best is the docking post. So 3 main phytochemicals with high negative scores are niriginin -7.80, eridictol -7.40, hesperidin -7.40. Then the 3D structure visualization of ligand protein complex were done in or seen in Discovery Visualizer, and binding interactions were studied, and therefore from the current molecular docking study it has been concluded that these 3 phytochemical with high negative binding score can act as a mpro inhibitor, but need to be explored for more experimental work in regarding to develop of antiviral inhibitors. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning, all of you. I am Barkha Shakir, and today I'm going to give a presentation on the topic Protective Effect of Geraniol against Ericoline Induced Toxicity in the third instar larva of transgenic Drosophila melanogaster HSP70 laxi-PG9. So here I have used ericoline, which is an alkaloid and is found in erica nut or betel nut, which is the fruit of erica palm, and geraniol, which is a monotopenoid and is a very important part of rose oil or palmarosa oil. It has that beautiful rose-like scent. That's why it's used in perfumes and cosmetic products. So I have studied here the protective or the effect of geraniol against ericoline-induced toxicity. So for this we have used Drosophila melanogaster, which is a transgenic strain, and it expresses the beta galactosidase as a response to stress in this present study. So in this strain, the transformation vectors is inserted with a P element that is the line contained with wild type HSP70 sequence up to lag Z fusion point. And then here what we did is we prepared a special diet which was made up of agar, cornmeal, sugar, yeast, and we maintained the temperature for 24 to 25 degrees Celsius. In that diet we added the highest dose of vericolin, which is 80 micromole, and also various doses of geraniol, that is 10, 20, 30 and 40 micromole of geraniol. And after preparing the diet we allowed the third instar larva to feed upon it for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, we took those larvae, cleaned them with phosphate buffer solution, and prepared the homogenate. And after preparing the homogenate, we performed various assays like antioxidative assays, ONPG assay, Japan blue, glutathione content to detect GST activity as well as SOD activity, catalase, lipid peroxidation assay, protein carbonyl content as well as caspases to detect apoptosis. We also performed the various assays to detect any kind of apoptotic activity in the midgut cells of larva as well as imaginal disc, and to detect the DNA damage we performed comet assay as well as molecular docking. So here you can see that the beta galactosidase activity is reducing as the dose of geraniol is increasing, as you can compare with the activity which is highest in the ericillin treated larva. Here you can see the larva exposed to the highest dose of geraniol is showing complete damage in the whole gut, while the damage is reducing as the geraniol dose is increasing. And to cross check, we also performed a trypanoside blue exclusion test. You can see that the highest dose treatment of eribulin leads to complete damage in whole gut as well as salivary glands, proventriculus till the hindgut, while the larva exposed to the highest dose of geraniol shows a marked decline in the tissue damage in third instar larva. You can see here. These are the replicates. So this is, here you can see that the trypan blue scoring is reducing as the dose of geraniol is increasing. The free radical scavenging activity and superoxide anion scavenging activity is increasing as the geraniol dose is increasing. Here you can see that glutathione activity is increasing in a dose dependent manner, while glutathione S transferase activity, superoxide dismutase and the catalase, they all are reducing in dose dependent manner. The activity of lipid peroxidation and protein carbonyl content are reducing, while acetylcholinesterase activity is increasing. On the other hand, you can see marked decline in monoamine oxidases as the dose of geraniol is increasing. There was quite marked incline, or you can say increase in LRD activity and decrease in caspases activity, both caspase 9 and caspase 3 in dose dependent manner. Here you can see that apoptosis, which is high in the midgut cells of larva exposed to ericulin, while these red cells are apoptotic cells, while the green cells are they are the live cells, and this apoptosis is reducing as the geraniol dose is increasing in dose dependent manner. So this is the apoptotic index, which is showing reduction in apoptosis in dose dependent manner. So we also perform actinic orange staining test in imaginal disc, and we found that these green apoptotic cells are quite high in eribulin treated imaginal disc of larva, and these apoptotic cells are reducing as the dose of geraniol is increasing. So to detect any kind of DNA damage, we perform comet assay, and we can see that eribulin treated cells, they have a very long comet tail length, and which is quite visible. But when the geraniol dose are increasing, you can see the tail length are reducing. And when we measure the comet tail length, it shows marked decline in the tail length in dose dependent manner. We also performed molecular docking, and we found that here you can see that how this geraniol, how this ericulin is attached with the DNA. And when the geraniol treatment was given, this geraniol comes in between this ericulin and DNA, acting as a barrier, creating hindrance, and thus increasing the bond length of ericulin and DNA from 3.4 or 2.9 angstrom to 5.8 to and 3.7 angstrom. This shows that yes, geraniol is showing protective effect against ericulin induced DNA damage as well. We can say that when ericulin treatment is given, there is marked increase in reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species, which leads to tissue damage, apoptosis, and imbalance in antioxidant enzyme defense system. But when the geraniol treatment is given, all these activities, all these imbalance reduces, as well as the oxidative stress, tissue damage, apoptosis, and DNA damage, it also reduces. So with this we can conclude that the exposure of Ericoline tooth star larva increases the oxidative stress as well as the imbalance in biochemical enzyme. While when the geraniol treatment was given, it increases this improvement in various biochemical enzymes as well as reduction in oxidative stress, tissue damage, apoptosis, DNA damage, and this shows that geraniol reduces the toxicity of ericoline. Thank you.
Hello everyone, let me introduce myself first. I am Qadri Shahnur Abdul Karim Shah from Department of Bioinformatics, Guru Nanak Khalsa College. I have completed my post-graduation from Guru Nanak Khalsa College in Bioinformatics. Presenting my research work in International E-Conference on Drug Discovery, Development and Application. We have tried to contribute to the field of drug development and discovery and its application through this research. Let's begin with our research. It has been completed by two people, Mrs. Aparna Patil Kose, which is the first author of this research, and Mr. Qadri Shahnur Abdul Karim Shah, which is the second author, which is I. We are from the Department of Bioinformatics, GNIRD, Guru Nanak Khalsa College, Mumbai, Matunga. Let's go to the title of the paper. It says Investigation of Apple Cider Vinegar Phytocompounds and its effect against mannan, which is a fungal protein, using an in silico approach. Let's give you a short introduction about this fungal infection. Fungal infection are caused by fungi, especially dermatophytic fungi, which cause an infection in animals as well as in humans. But coming to the point, Tinea cruris is one type of infection which is the main subject of our study. In this type of infection, the fungi gets attached to the body of the host and develops in the groin areas, forming patches, redness, irritation, itching, etc. This type of infection is caused due to the various factors such as touch to the infected surface or using the commodities or clothes of an infected person can cause the infection. But various factors of a body of a human contribute to the infection, which are the body pH of a person, moisture of the body of a person, sweat, and most important is the weak immune system of a person, which plays a keen role in the cause of the fungal infection. So the next is the main objective and purpose of the study of this research is mannan. M-A-N-N-A-N, mannan. So what is mannan? Trichophytum rubrum is the species of our interest which causes this Tinea cruris infection, which is discussed in the previous slide. In this species of fungi, cell wall consists of mannoprotein, which are made up of mannan proteins. This mannan protein helps in arising the immunoinhibitory response in the host body, causing the fungi to attach and cause the infection. Next is material and methodology. As there are already present ways to treat fungal infection like radiation, chemical compounds, etc., which causes severe side effects later in the human body, like toxicity or different form of reactions which can be caused. So, an alternative approach of phytocompounds from apple cider vinegar is considered as a therapeutic option as an antifungal agent using in silico approach. So, the result and conclusion that we got from our research is that we were doing an in silico approach. So we used docking method to complete our research. Different types of phytochemicals like flavonoids, etc., which were considered while research, were docked against mannan protein using docking tools. After docking, we obtained binding energy levels with the binding sites of the respective phytocompounds with mannan protein. Here we got different sites where on mannan different phytochemicals are or can be docked and can be further studied in labs from making the compounds to treat the diseases. So the future aspects of this research is having a very vast area of personalized medicines and a good approach in transdermal research. So thanking you for listening. Be safe, be healthy, and for further detailed information of research, refer to the research paper which have been submitted. Thank you. Goodbye.
Good morning. Today I will present my presentation on a study on synthesis and structural investigation of complexes of tin-4 with some sulfur and oxygen donor ligands. And this objective is to synthesize of some new mixed sulfur and or oxygen donor ligand derivatives, and further it will be characterized by different physiochemical methods: melting point, molecular weight determination, elemental analysis, spectral, it is UV visible, FTIR, NMR, as well as powder X-ray diffraction studies. Application of these complexes are in various industrial and biological field. Also, sulfides of tin-4, SNS2 and SNS are characterized as semiconductors and receive attention owing to their optical and electronic properties. Nanometal sulfide of tin-4 are currently recognized as advanced inorganic material and applicable in nanoscale electronic devices. Now we see experimental synthesis of new derivatives has been done through the replacement reaction between different oxygen and sulfur donor ligands and ethane 1,2-diethylate tin-4 chloride in acetonitrile as solvent in 1:1 and 1:2 m stoichiometric ratio respectively. I use different techniques used for characterization. Now we see result-time discussion. This is the elemental analysis data of synthesized compounds. This is the UV spectral studies which show different bands regarding pi L to pi star and N to pi star transition. The FTIR spectral studies where the different bands is here significant bands observed according to different vibrations. Now we can see here tin oxygen and tin sulfur bonding and carbon sulfur bonding. This is the FTIR data. So one NMR study shows relevant peaks at different ppm, and the 13C NMR, which show different carbons corresponding to their ligands. Is the 1H NMR and 13C NMR chemical shift for the synthesized compounds. Is the 1H NMR spectra of ethane 1,2-dithylate to tin 4-salicylate. Different peaks observed. And this is 13C NMR spectra of ethane 1,2-dithylate to tin 4-salicylate, where relevant peaks are observed. The powder X-ray diffraction studies. With the help of these studies, I have calculated particle size of synthesized compound. It is found in the range of nanometer. Is the powder X-ray diffraction pattern of ethane 1,2-dithylate to tin 4-salicylate chloride. There is the table of the same. Now we see structural elucidation. On the basis of the above spectral analysis, it may be concluded tentatively that these oxygen and sulfur donor ligands attached in monodentate mode of binding and ethane 1,2-dithylate to tin 4 and show square planar geometry. Along with this, powder X-ray studies show that these compounds are crystalline in nature and have lower symmetry system, that is monoclinic. In the conclusion, these derivatives show good agreement with synthetic, physiochemical, spectral and powder XID aspects. It is concluded tentatively on the basis of above studies that compounds are leading to square planar geometry. Powder XID studies revealed that these derivatives are crystalline in nature, having low symmetry compound system, that is monoclinic. I would like to acknowledge my supervisor, Dr. HPS Chauhan, for his support and guidance, my seniors and different organizations, that is IISER Bhopal, SAF Chandigarh, CDRI Lucknow, and UGC DAE Consortium for Scientific Research for different studies, and Almighty God and my family members for their support. Thank you.
I, Ms. Prudila Kulkarni, thank the KB Patil College for organizing this international conference and giving me an opportunity to present our work to you. The project, The Water Quality of Ulhas River at Rayate, 3-year case study, was conducted for a span of 3 years from Jan 2016 to December 2018. Ulhas River has a length of 122 km and passes through various villages that provides to them 60% of the potable water. At Rayate village, the local residents use it for drinking purpose, agricultural activities and animal husbandry. Sampling was done at Rayate village. The physicochemical parameters studied were pH, temperature and conductance on site. Rest of them were studied in the lab. pH of the temperature. The maximum temperature is 35 degrees Celsius while minimum is 26 degrees Celsius. Rise and fall is observed according to the routine seasonal trend. Maximum pH is 8.5, minimum is 7.2, which is within the acceptable value, which is 6.5 to 8.5. And again for pH value, seasonal trends is observed. Maximum values of conductance exceed the acceptable value, which is 2500 microsiemens per centimeter. Summer months show low conductance values except April 2016 and 17 due to pollution of sampling site by local activities. Maximum BOD levels exceed acceptable value, which is 5 ppm of oxygen. September to December, low BOD values are observed due to low temperatures that result in the sluggish growth of the microbes. BOD values in Jan and Feb are expected to be low. This aberration is due to the contamination by organic material at the sampling site from the cattle shed. Maximum values of COD exceed the acceptable value, which is 40 ppm of oxygen. COD values are higher during the June as monsoon commences in this month. After June, the dilution of water and the heavy flow of river reduces COD values. The BOD versus COD, usually COD is higher than the BOD. On comparing COD values with BOD, the amount of organic contaminants are less as compared to the chemical contaminants in the water body. Maximum TDS levels exceed the acceptable value, which is 500 mg per liter. Maximum value of TDS was observed as the sample collection was done immediately after the heavy rains in August. TDS is generally low for pre-monsoon and post-monsoon months. March 2016 show high TDS due to contamination of sampling site. Maximum TSS is observed for August 2018 as the sampling was done immediately after the heavy downpours. Along with heavy downpour, the resurfacing of sediment is also responsible for such increase in TSS levels. Maximum acidity was observed in December 2016. Overall observation is made that 2016 has high acidity levels when compared to 2017 and 18. The peaks observed in acidity are due to STP discharge. The maximum alkalinity exceeds acceptable value, which is 200 ppm of calcium carbonate. The year 2016 received scanty rainfall, and along with that, in September month, the immersion of Ganesh idol ritual leads to an increasing alkalinity levels in September, and its effects are seen for the October month as well. The maximum value exceeds acceptable value, which is 200 ppm of calcium carbonate. The high total hardness is observed during July and August, which is because of the runoff water that contains bicarbonates, carbonates and hydroxides of calcium and magnesium. The table shows a comparison between the observed values and the acceptable values. Only pH and alkalinity lie within the acceptable range. Rest of them are much beyond the acceptable range. The Karl-Pearson's coefficient helps us to understand the effect of parameters on each other. The total hardness is not just the hardness which is contributed by the carbonate ions, but also the non-carbonate ions like fluorides, sulfates and nitrates. Therefore, it can be seen that the total hardness and alkalinity values are low. R values are low, which means that the total hardness is not just contributed by the carbonate ions, but majorly it is the non-carbonate ions. The TDS and TS is also responsible for the increase in the conductance. So basically it is the non-carbonate ions present in the water in higher amount. The high levels of conductance, BOD, COD, TDS and total hardness are observed. Only pH and alkalinity are observed within the range, acceptable range. Hence, such water quality analysis should be conducted on regular basis. Concept of polluter pays should be implemented in letter and spirit. The project made me aware about the measures that can be taken at individual level. I personally have stopped discarding floral offerings to the god in river. A small step taken by people can help to change the scenario. These are the references. I thank Dr. Padma Sathe and Dr. Ashwini Deshpande ma'am for their valuable suggestions. Thank you. I, Ms. Prudila Kulkarni, thank the KB Patil College for organizing this international conference and giving me an opportunity to present our work to you. The project, The Water Quality of Ulhas River at Raete, 3-year case study, was conducted for a span of 3 years from Jan 2016 to December 2018. Ulhas River has a length of 122 km and passes through various villages that provides to them 60% of the potable water. At Raete village, the local residents use it for drinking purpose, agricultural activities and animal husbandry. Sampling was done at Raete village. The physicochemical parameters studied were pH, temperature and conductance on site. Rest of them were studied in the lab. pH of the temperature. The maximum temperature is 35 degrees Celsius while minimum is 26 degrees Celsius. Rise and fall is observed according to the routine seasonal trend. Maximum pH is 8.5, minimum is 7.2, which is within the acceptable value, which is 6.5 to 8.5. And again for pH value, seasonal trends is observed. Maximum values of conductance exceed the acceptable value, which is 2500 microsiemens per centimeter. Summer months show low conductance values except April 2016 and 17 due to pollution of sampling site by local activities. Maximum BOD levels exceed acceptable value, which is 5 ppm of oxygen. September to December, low BOD values are observed due to low temperatures that result in the sluggish growth of the microbes. BOD values in Jan and Feb are expected to be low. This aberration is due to the contamination by organic material at the sampling site from the cattle shed. Maximum values of COD exceed the acceptable value, which is 40 ppm of oxygen. COD values are higher during the June as monsoon commences in this month. After June, the dilution of water and the heavy flow of river reduces COD values. The BOD versus COD, usually COD is higher than the BOD. On comparing COD values with BOD, the amount of organic contaminants are less as compared to the chemical contaminants in the water body. Maximum TDS levels exceed the acceptable value, which is 500 mg per liter. Maximum value of TDS was observed as the sample collection was done immediately after the heavy rains in August. TDS is generally low for pre-monsoon and post-monsoon months. March 2016 show high TDS due to contamination of sampling site. Maximum TSS is observed for August 2018 as the sampling was done immediately after the heavy downpours. Along with heavy downpour, the resurfacing of sediment is also responsible for such increase in TSS levels. Maximum acidity was observed in December 2016. Overall observation is made that 2016 has high acidity levels when compared to 2017 and 18. The peaks observed in acidity are due to STP discharge. The maximum alkalinity exceeds acceptable value, which is 200 ppm of calcium carbonate. The year 2016 received scanty rainfall, and along with that, in September month, the immersion of Ganesh idol ritual leads to an increasing alkalinity levels in September, and its effects are seen for the October month as well. The maximum value exceeds acceptable value, which is 200 ppm of calcium carbonate. The high total hardness is observed during July and August, which is because of the runoff water that contains bicarbonates, carbonates, and hydroxides of calcium and magnesium. The table shows a comparison between the observed values and the acceptable values. Only pH and alkalinity lie within the acceptable range. Rest of them are much beyond the acceptable range. The Karl-Pearson's coefficient helps us to understand the effect of parameters on each other. The total hardness is not just the hardness which is contributed by the carbonate ions, but also the non-carbonate ions like fluorides, sulfates, and nitrates. Therefore, it can be seen that the total hardness and alkalinity values are low. R values are low, which means that the total hardness is not just contributed by the carbonate ions, but majorly it is the non-carbonate ions. The TDS and TS is also responsible for the increase in the conductance. So basically it is the non-carbonate ions present in the water in higher amount. The high levels of conductance, BOD, COD, TDS and total hardness are observed. Only pH and alkalinity are observed within the range, acceptable range. Hence, such water quality analysis should be conducted on regular basis. Concept of polluter pays should be implemented in letter and spirit. The project made me aware about the measures that can be taken at individual level. I personally have stopped discarding floral offerings to the god in river. A small step taken by people can help to change the scenario. These are the references. I thank Dr. Padma Sathe and Dr. Ashwini Deshpande ma'am for their valuable suggestions. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Gavani Rushali Somnath, Assistant Professor at R.B. Attal Arts, Science and Commerce College, Geurai, District Bid. Topic of my research work for poster presentation is Synthesis, Characterization and Biological Studies of Transition Metal Complexes of Thiazomicarbazole Ligand. Introduction. Coordination chemistry of thiazomicarbazole is one of the most active research areas in inorganic chemistry. Thiazomicarbazole ligands are derived from the combination of thiazomicarbazide and aldehydes or ketones. Thiazomicarbazole are versatile ligands because they having better coordination tendency, they form more stable complexes, they having the better selectivity, as well as they having a unique biological and analytical properties. Aims and objectives of my research work: to synthesize the new skip-based ligands, the synthesis of the nitrogen, oxygen and sulfur donor N4 disubstituted thiazomicarbazole, then metal complexes of such a N4 disubstituted thiazomicarbazole and its characterization by X-ray diffraction, FTIR, H1 NMR, UV visible spectroscopy, etc. The antibacterial and antifungal activities of the ligand and its metal complexes as a growth inhibiting agents has been screened in vitro against Staphylococcus aureus, Bacillus subtilis and Aspergillus niger and Fusarium oxysporum respectively. Now synthesis of ligands. The ligands are synthesized by the combination of or it is carried out in two steps. In first step there is synthesis of N4 disubstituted thiazomicarbazole is occurs, and this thiazomicarbazide is occur, and this thiazomicarbazide reacts with salicylaldehyde, then formation of the N4 disubstituted thiazomicarbazole. Now this thiazomicarbazole on reaction with metal salts as by proportion of the 1:2 stoichiometry, these metal complexes are characterized by UV visible spectra as well as the X-ray diffraction studies. The antibacterial and antifungal activities of the ligand and its metal complexes The UV visible absorption spectra of these metal complexes is carried out in DMSO at room temperatures and indicating that there is a presence of distorted octahedral geometry. IR spectra also reveals that the coordination occurs through nitrogen, oxygen and sulfur, and in complexation is occurs through azomethyl nitrogen, that is thion sulfur and phenolic oxygen. Bands due to metal nitrogen, metal oxygen and metal sulfur is observed, which confirms the complexation. Now, the X-ray diffraction studies indicating the triclinic crystal systems, while thermogram indicating that the final decomposition of complexes is carried out and decomposition is occurs, indicating the absence of polar molecule. The biological studies reveals that the antimicrobial activity of ligand and its metal complexes were tested in vitro against bacteria such as Staphylococcus aureus and Bacillus subtilis by paper displate method. The compounds are tested at 250 ppm and 500 ppm in DMSO and by using a standard drug, that is ciprofloxacin. The enhanced activity of metal complexes is increased due to the lipophilic nature of the metal ion in the complexes. It is clear that the inhibition by metal chelates is higher than that of the present ligand and its metal salts. This indicating that ligand as well as metal complexes shows the higher biological activity. Now, conclusion of this my research work is the proposed structure of macrocyclic ligands is on the basis of the FTIR H1 NMR ligands, indicating that the coordination occurs through nitrogen, oxygen and sulfur. All the complexes are high speed and 6 coordinated. XRD study indicating that they are having monoclinic crystal system as well as triclinic crystal systems, and biological study indicating that the ligands as well as their metal complexes shows they they are biologically active. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all the respected judges. Myself, Mr. J.M. Paura, Assistant Professor in CKT College, Panvel. I am thankful to all the organizing committee for taking effort to organize this international level conference. So in this seminar I am going to present my research work, and the topic of my presentation is an efficient and solvent free synthesis of biologically active compound by green method. So here in this method what I do is that I have synthesized curcumin in a lab. You know that curcumin is one of the most important constituent of turmeric, and it is chemically a diphenyl methane, and it is exist in a two different form, that is one enol form and one is keto form. So enol form exists in a acidic medium while keto form exists in a basic medium. Keto form is more stable form. So here in this method what I do is that I have synthesized curcumin from benzaldehyde and acetyl acetone. I have taken 2 molecules of benzaldehyde and 1 molecules of acetyl acetone in presence of magnesium hydroxide. I had done this reaction in a microwave, and surprisingly that the reaction is complete within 5 to 8 minutes. Here is the procedure how I synthesize that derivative. Here in this chart I have synthesized 4 derivatives of curcumin and their reaction time, and the yield occur is about 65 to 80%. Now here I have given the spectra of 2 compound that I synthesize in a lab, and finally I want to conclude that the method that I developed for the synthesis of curcumin is a greener method, and it is a solvent free method. The reaction after completion of reaction does not involve any use of solvent. So this is all about my research work. Thank you very much.
Good morning everyone. My name is Kailash Shinde and the title of the paper is Synthesis, Characterization, Molecular Docking and Biological Activities of New Quinoline Analogues Bearing Carboxymide Moiety. These are the points I am going to discuss today. Let's start with the introduction. Among various pharmacologically important heterocyclic compounds, quinoline represents one of the most active classes as it shows a wide range of biological properties. These are the some examples of quinoline derivatives with a different biological activities. During the literature survey, we also found that the presence of carboxymide moiety, specifically at 4th position of quinoline ring, enhances its biological activities. Here I shown some of the example of quinoline 4 carboxymide derivatives with a different biological activities. So from this we get to know the presence of carboxymide moiety at 4th position of quinoline ring is very important. So based upon all this observation, we plan to synthesize novel quinoline derivatives and evaluated them for their biological activity. Here this is a reaction scheme for the compounds 4A to 4J. The final target compounds 4A to 4J were synthesized in 2 steps in good to moderate yields. The first step is a condensation of acetine with acetophenone in the presence of a ethanolic KOH under reflux for 12 to 13 hours to obtain the intermediate 3. The carboxylic group of intermediate 3 is then converted into acid chloride by using a chlorinating agent thionyl chloride, which is then coupled with different anilines in the presence of a base like sodium hydride at a room temperature to obtain the final target compounds 4A to 4J. All the synthesized compounds were confirmed and characterized by spectral studies like carbon-13 NMR, 1H NMR, FTIR and mass. Here I show the spectras of compound 4F for your reference. This is a carbon-13 NMR, 1H NMR, FTIR, mass. We also check the purity of the compounds by HPLC method. Let's talk about the biological activity results. All the target compounds 4A to 4J were evaluated for anti-breast cancer cell line MD-MB231 by MTT-assay method. The standard cisplatin and doxorubicin HCl were used and IC50 values were measured. From this data, it was observed that all the compounds show better promising breast cancer activity against a standard cisplatin but not comparable to doxorubicin HCl. This is the antibacterial activity result. All the target compounds were also screened for 2 gram positive bacteria and 2 gram negative bacteria by using the agar-well diffusion method, and zone of inhibition value were measured in mm. These are the zone of inhibition values. From this data, it was observed that all the compounds show less antibacterial activity compared to standard streptomycin. We also do the molecular docking studies, and we selected the compound 4H for the molecular docking studies and to find the logical database for the anti-cancer effect of this hit molecule. And we proposed 3 molecular targets, that is human carbonic anhydrase 1, protein kinase A and kinesin spindle protein KSP. This is the docking score of the compound 4H. This is the interaction diagram of molecular docking of the compound 4H with the molecular targets. From this diagram, it was observed that the compound 4H show a good interaction with the molecular targets. So from all this study, it was concluded that all the compounds show significant anti-cancer activity against a breast cancer cell line MD-MB231 compared to standard cisplatin, but not comparable to doxorubicin HCl, and the trends were observed with a varied substitution. The compound 4H exhibited better promising anti-breast cancer activity among various synthesized molecules. Also, the compounds 4D, 4F, 4H and 4J exhibited moderate antibacterial activity against all the tested organisms. So we strongly believe that this current result may be useful in the development of potential anti-breast cancer and antibacterial drugs in future after further modification and optimization of the reported molecules. These are the references. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sachin Kalme. Today's my oral presentation topic is fluorinating labeling of peptide based on chemical orthogonal stain promoted cycloaddition reaction. Fluorinated radioisotopes is very important because it can be stable for bonding to the carbon. So it will be benefit for the drugs and peptide molecules. And fluorinating radioisotopes can be easily prepared by using the cyclotron with oxygen-18 isotopes. And its half-life time is near about 2 hours. So it will be very benefit for the taking images. So the labeling of fluorine 18 with peptides and drug molecules is much more attention in the radiopharmaceutical molecular images and for the diagnosis. So there are many methods are used to make radio label of fluorinating with different kinds of the peptides, but these procedures are much more lengthy and multiple steps, so it will be reduce the radiochemical yield. So there are many other methods like copper-mediated cycloaddition reactions are used to radio-label with fluorine 18 with peptides molecules by using cyclooctane and azide by using a copper catalysis. This reaction is much more faster, but this copper catalysis is much more toxic for the, especially for the biomolecules like peptides and drugs, which will be damage their structure. So for solve these problems, varieties and their groups are introduced a new kind of the cycloactine and azide groups, which use the cycloaddition reactions without any copper catalysis. So there are many ADBIO groups or cycloactine groups available nowadays. By using these concepts, we make one azide dibenzoxycyclooctane compound, and which was radio labeled with PEG azide fluorine groups, and this reactions was completed within 10 minutes with 90 to 95% yield without any catalysis by using only ether and water as solvents. So by using this concept, we make many kinds of the peptide groups with ADBIO or cyclooctane compound like ADRGD, Bombacin, CMBP, and APO. So by using this concept, we also make for the cycloaddition reactions by using the PEG azide fluorine group, that is called as the polyethylene glycoazide groups, and also we make polymer supported azide resin to purify this ADBIO peptide groups. So here we introduced cyclic RGD peptide with ADBIO groups, which was radio labeled with PEG azide fluorine group within 15 minutes, and then we purified this radio labeled ADBIO group by using ADBIO scavenger resin in 20 minutes. Overall, 35 minutes are used to make radio labeled fluorinated RGD peptide groups with near about 90% radiochemical yield. So then we can study about their in vitro and in vivo study. So we get their cyclic RGD with our radio label RGD groups. So there are near about showing their same binding aspect with the different organs, and also we get their images. So in 120 minutes, there are completely tumor incubated image we are observed, and we get a very good images by using this one. So this using same concept, we are make many kinds of the Bombacin, CMBP, and APOC radio label peptide groups, which will be gives a very good types of the images. So friends, overall, I want to say that we are make one cycloaddition reactions conditions with ADBIO peptide groups, and we get a very good radio labeled peptides compounds with good images like cyclic RGD ADBIO peptide groups, which will shows a very good in vitro and in vivo study. Also get a very good images of tumors, and hopes it will be a benefit for the making many kinds of the peptides and drug molecules by using these conditions to make a fluorinated labeled peptide groups. So overall, I want to say that this conditions is very good for the radio labeling of uh, isotopes with drugs and peptide molecules by using these physiological and eco-friendly conditions without any catalysis. So thank you very much for attention of this oral presentation.
Welcome to this 2 days international e-conference on drug discovery, development and applications organized by KBP College, Vashi, Navi Mumbai. Myself, Dr. Pramod Thakur, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Red Shikshan Samstha, Mahatma Phule AC College, Panvel, District, Raigad. I am going to present research paper in this e-conference entitled Green Synthesis of 3-hydroxy oxyindoles by Henry reaction using deep eutectic solvent, that is DES. So DES are the new solvents which are used in a greener synthesis. The introduction of my topic is the Henry reaction is a base catalyzed carbon-carbon bond forming reaction between nitroalkane and aldehydes or ketone, which is also known as nitroaldol reaction. This reaction has been utilized for the synthesis of 3-hydroxy 3-nitroalkyl oxyindoles by reaction of nitroalkanes with ethane. These frameworks not only have interesting molecular architectures but also have densely functionalized core and exhibit significant bioactivities. So these are the molecules which have been prepared by this oxyindole framework by using the Henry reaction. Here is the literature survey about this reaction which was already published. So various catalysts and various reaction conditions have been explored in this reaction, but each reaction condition have its own drawbacks or demerits. So here we come up with our methods. Our method is use of DS. The DS was prepared by the procedure given here. So the preparation involved reaction of choline chloride 1 millimole with urea 2 moles at the 74 degrees centigrade till a clear solution was obtained, which was used for reaction without any purification. Then this prepared DS was used as a reaction condition in our method to the solution of ethane 1 millimole and DS choline chloride urea base deep pitotic solvent 10 ml was added, nitroalkane 2 millimole. The reaction mixture was stirred at room temperature for stipulated time, that is for 20 minutes. After the complete consumption of ethane as indicated by TLC, the reaction mixture was filtered to obtain the crude solid products. The residue was dried, purified by column chromatography and subjected for structure elucidation. The filtrate obtained was choline chloride based DS, which was dried by applying vacuum and reused in the next reaction. So this is the characterization data, which is H1 NMR data of this proposed compound. So we can see this formation of compound by the various NMR peaks observed in the NMR spectrum. In this spectrum, the characteristic peaks, which is a peak at a 6.58 broad singlet for one hydrogen, is indicate the presence of these hydroxy groups. Then in C13 spectrum, the peak which is present at 73.4 ppm. So this peak indicate the presence of this quaternary carbon in this compound. The mass spectrum of this compound, which shows the peak at 231, which is a characteristic peak of this particular compound. So this particular compound also confirm that this type of compound is formed in this reaction. Then the FTIR spectrum shows the important peaks of the related functional groups present in the molecule. So the characterization data confirm the formation of this compound. So this is the substrate scope of our method. By using our method, we have synthesized various compounds, and these various compounds were obtained in very good yield. Some of the compounds were also shown the very good diastereoselectivity when we use the nitroalkane, which is a nitroethane. So here we can see this type of compound have shown the diastereoselectivity, and this type of diastereoselectivity was obtained without any chiral catalyst or without any additional additives. So this is the mechanism of this reaction. As we know, this nitroalkane have the acidic hydrogen. This acidic hydrogen pK is nearly 9. So any mild base like it is present in this DS can abstract this proton and form a nitroalkanes. So this nitroalkane enolate can be easily attacked on a carbonyl carbon of this ethane, and it can form a complex which can be further converted into the desired hydroxy compound. So this way, using without using any catalyst, we can get this compound by using this deep pitotic solvent as a green reaction medium. These are the highlights of the developed method. Green synthesis using DS as a solvent or media, require no additional catalyst or additives, wide scope of substrates, short reaction time, high yield of desired product, avoidance of aqueous workup extraction step, mild reaction condition which are working at room temperature, high diastereoselectivity without chiral mediator. So the conclusion of this paper is we have demonstrated an efficient Henry reaction of variety of statins with nitroalkanes in choline chloride urea based DS at room temperature to afford desired product 3-hydroxy 3-nitroalkyl oxyindoles in very good to excellent yields. Mild reaction condition, high yield and wide scope of substrates are the distinct feature of our protocol. The application of this work, this protocol may find utility in the synthesis of new natural products and biologically important 3-hydroxy oxyindoles analogs under mild reaction condition. And the feature scope, this method may find application for synthesis like horsafine, corelosine, spirobracin, phytolaxin and 3-beta amino oxyindoles and preparation of library of pharmaceutical important framework required for biological evaluation study. So here I conclude my paper. I thanks to organizer for giving me opportunity to present my work in this international e-conference. Thank you once again.
So we have fresh cream, cocoa powder and powdered sugar. So here we have taken 1.5 tablespoon of cocoa powder and powdered sugar each. It's basically an experiment that I'm gonna do for making my own recipe chocolate. So I'm very excited, and we have to add one more ingredient, that is powdered milk. We will use Amul dairy whiteners as powdered milk just to thicken the texture, okay? Sorry, to take the consistency. हमने अमूल क्रीम को वार्म करने के लिए रख दिया है. थोड़ा इसे हम बॉयल कर सकते हैं. You can use the spatula. अरे यार, sorry. Oh shit. So जब तक फ्रेश क्रीम बॉयल होता है तब तक हम इन्हें अच्छे से मिक्स कर देते हैं. You can also use salt for it, but मैं इसी से यूज़ कर लेती हूँ. जब फ्रेश क्रीम ऐसा हो जाता है उबल के, तब आप आँच को धीमा कर लीजिए और फिर इस मिक्सचर को डालिए. अच्छी तरह से मिलाइए. As you can see कि बहुत ही गाढ़ा लग रहा है ये, तो इसके लिए हम थोड़ा सा फ्रेश क्रीम और डालेंगे. You can also use water, and yes, we will also use water, क्योंकि वाटर से ज़्यादा बॉन्डिंग कैपेसिटी किसी की होती. ये तो केमिस्ट्री का मैटर लिया है, बट या कुकिंग में भी ड्यू टू हाइड्रोजन बॉन्डिंग will add some more of H2O. Add some more. Now we will add some powdered milk just to thicken the mixture. Add some more. ये चॉकलेट बस तैयार है और देखिए कितने अट्रैक्टिव भी लग रहे हैं जिस तरीके से हमने इसकी रैपिंग की है, लग रहे हैं ना अट्रैक्टिव। तो आज के लिए बस इतना ही। टिल देन टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ एंड reunite.
I am Kamble Vishal Suresh, Assistant Professor at Department of Chemistry, Changukana Thakur Art, Commerce and Science College, Nupanvel. Today, I am going to represent my research work entitled Nickel Dope Zinc Oxide Nanostructure NO2 Sensing Application. Now, this work is divided into zinc properties, synthesis matter, then NO2 effect and need of gas sensor. Then we know that zinc oxide is a semiconducting metal oxide having band gap 3.37 and extrinsic binding energy, that is the 60 mega electron volt. Therefore, zinc oxide having special attraction for preparation of gas sensor. Now we know that there are different synthesis method for preparation of nano particles. Out of that, we select here a simple coprecipitation method because that is the inexpensive and simple. And we know that the various toxic gases environment which having hazardous effect on environment as well as human health. Out of that, NO2 which is very hazardous to produce greenhouse and global warming. Therefore, we make an attempt to prepare a sensor who detect NO2 gas in an environment. No. Result and discussion we divided into two parts. First one, that is the characterization technique, and second one, that is the gas sensing performance. Now, first one, XRD detection. Now this is the XRD data of my nanoparticles, and I match this one with JCPDS card 010790205, and we get the result, that is the intensity along 101, which is very high as compared to the another. Therefore, here formation of zinc nanorod which is confirmed, and structure of that is the hexagonal vortex structure. Now this is the FESCM images of pure zinc oxide structure and nickel dope zinc oxide structure at 1 micrometer as well as 100 nanometer, and we clear cut see that there is a rod like structure which is analogous with the XRD analysis. Now next one, that is the FTIR of zinc oxide and nickel dope zinc oxide. Here we dope zinc oxide very little amount, therefore the result, that is the wavelength of zinc oxide and nickel dope zinc oxide, that is approximately similar, but special spectra, that is with respect to 496, which gives the zinc oxygen bonding, and therefore we confirm here the formation of zinc oxide structure. And next part, that is the gas sensing performance. We divided into first graph, that is the zinc oxide, nickel dope zinc oxide at a different temperature with range 120 degree to 280 degrees Celsius, and we get the gas response at 200 degrees Celsius is very high as compared to the other. And we check in graph second the gas response, which is approximately 352, and with respect to zinc oxide, which is very high, we clear cut seen in diagram number 3, which is zinc oxide show 232 and nickel dope zinc oxide show 352 gas response. And conclusion, my research work is what? Then we systematically investigate the structure of zinc oxide with the help of simple coprecipitation method, and we detect the NO2 gas of my nickel doped zinc oxide sensor, and the developed sensor detect 100 ppm NO2 gas at 200 degree operating temperature. Therefore, this sensor is very important in gas sensing field. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello everyone, here I am presenting my research paper Prodrugs, an effective alternative in drug development process at 2-day International E-Conference on Drug Discovery, Development and Applications, which is organized by Karmavir Bhaurao Patil College, Pashi, Navi Mumbai. Myself, Dr. R. Mahire, Assistant Professor, MJ College, Jalgaon. First, drug development process. We know that nowadays there are numerous various compounds are added into the library of the new novel organic molecules. From these novel organic molecules, which are coming from the basic research, they are screening for the drug development process. After that, they are goes to the preclinical trials, like the clinical trials on microorganisms, animals, etc. After that, the selected drug molecules goes to the clinical research or the trials, which may be on the volunteers or the humans. After that process, the approved drug can be marketed with the legal permission. Though there are so many drugs are marketed having some adverse side effects, like acetaminophen having the poor permeability, less solubility, chemical instability, limited bioavailability, there are so many adverse side effects are there marketed drugs. This is the history of prodrug design from 1899 to 2009. In 1899, first aspirin synthesized by the Bayer Healthcare. After that, in 1935, Bayer introduced Prontosil, and at present, the prodrugs is nothing but the inactive form of drug molecule which is enter into the body and hydrolyzed by the chemically or enzymatically in the form of active drug. There are so many advantages of prodrugs that can increase bioavailability, it increase prolonged duration of action, it decreases metabolic deactivation, it having the target specificity, elimination of unpleasant taste, increasing chemical stability, etc. With the help of these types of moieties like OH, amines, acids, alcohol. These are the different types of functional group which are used to synthesize the products like carboxylic acids, alcohols, amines, phosphonate, phosphate, As I told you, the aspirin introduced by the Bayer in 1899, in which salicylic acid is a active agent, in which these OH having the so many adverse side effects. This OH can be masked with the acylated group and delivered as a aspirin. Prontosil is another example of prodrug. Heroin is also the best example of prodrug which on hydrolyze give the morphine. The interesting fact regarding the heroin is that the Bayer was embraced to appreciate that the heroin is readily metabolized into the morphine after oral administration. To the 2010, there are 20% of the drugs are prodrugs, and among that 37 are claimed for the cancer treatment. These are the different types of the drugs having the different therapeutic area and it having the prodrug strategy. This is also another example. Challenges in prodrug designing. In every chemical synthesis there are the lots of the challenges, and in product designing there are so many challenges like improve solubility, improve chemical solubility of therapeutic agents, target specificity, improve taste, reduce toxicity, etc. Research work, we prepare the prodrugs of the ketoprofen which is published in RSC We also prepare the anhydrides of the gallic acid and felminac, which is produced in the pharmaceutical chemistry. Here are some conclusions from our work. The products are capable for biocompatible drug delivery vehicles. They're having the good therapeutic index, good pharmacokinetics, good thermal stability, and etc. These are some references, and thank you for watching this presentation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, you are listening to Shoaib Khan from Department of Chemistry, Hislop College, Nagpur, and today we are going to discuss about recent development in drug discovery for COVID-19 in reference to chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine drug. We know that coronavirus has now become a pandemic to the whole world. More than 7.6 million cases have been reported with this infectious disease, resulting in more than 4 lakhs deaths across the world and still counting. Common symptoms include fever, cough, fatigue, shortness of breath, and loss of smell and taste, whereas many of COVID-19 patients are asymptomatic and making it more challenging and difficult to control. According to World Health Organization, there are no available vaccine nor specific antiviral treatment for COVID-19. World Health Organization and NIH do not oppose the use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug such as ibuprofen for COVID-19 symptoms. These are the structures of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine which are used as a drug in treatment of coronavirus. Why chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine against COVID-19? What are the mode of action? It is recognized that SARS-CoV-2 having 76% amino acid homology like other SARS-CoV, hence assuming that it follows the similar kind of mechanism like SARS-CoV virus to enter into the host cell. SARS-CoV-2 has a spike protein which involves the two subunits S1 and S2. First S1 subunit is showing binding ability towards receptor ACE2 in adipose tissue, whereas second S2 subunit is involving in membrane fusion and insertion of RNA into the cell. Hydroxychloroquine is a weak base, causes the alkalization of endosome and lysosome, inhibits the endocytosis, and also stops the fusion of endosome with lysosome. Increase in endosomal and lysosomal pH decreases endosomal and lysosomal function, so inhibits the endocytosis. Second way of hydroxychloroquine is that hydroxychloroquine is also act as zinc ionophore. Zinc ions enter into cell through plasma membrane. Zinc prohibit RNA polymerase. Increase in the concentration of a zinc decreases the viral RNA formation. The third factor is presence of sialic acid on a cell membrane. Sialic acid helps to bind virus and enters into the cell. Hydroxychloroquine binds to sialic acid and prevents the binding of virus to sialic acid. In this way, hydroxychloroquine showing its antiviral activity. So what literature says about the use of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine? Goddard et al. Have reported effective use of hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin in treatment of COVID-19 and says a good recovery in the patient. This study has several limitations such as a small sample size, limited follow-up, exclusion of patients during treatment and specific age group. However, another French group by Molina et al. Reported no clinical benefit and poor clinical outcome with this energetic treatment of azithromycin and hydroxychloroquine in coronavirus disease. They proposed that hydroxychloroquine acted as a protector for COVID-19 patient due to its antiviral and immunomodulatory effect. The maximum number of recovery or discharge was from control group and not from hydroxychloroquine treated group. Literature reveals that there are several disputes in the use of hydroxychloroquine for the treatment of COVID-19. Gottlieb et al. And Chen et al. Supports the use of hydroxychloroquine alone or in combination with antibiotics such as azithromycin. However, more scientists like Molina et al., Mehvis et al. And so many others did not support any significant effect or clinical outcome of hydroxychloroquine in treatment of COVID-19. Adverse effect. Several adverse effects associated with the use of hydroxychloroquine has been reported in the literature. Although hydroxychloroquine is less toxic than chloroquine, still it possesses some detrimental adverse effect which cannot be neglected. Some side effects like cardiac complications, QT prolongation to heart failure, neuromuscular side effects involves signal conduction disorders, nightmare, depression. Ocular side effects involve corneal deposition, blindness, blurred vision. Gastrointestinal side effects involve diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal cramping, nausea, abnormal liver function. Some allergic side effects also observed. Some other general effects like appetite loss, loss of weight also seen in the patients who are using hydroxychloroquine. So in conclusion, we can say that hydroxychloroquine shows antiviral effect against different viruses. Further, its use shows immunomodulatory effect. Extreme care is required for the hydroxychloroquine treatment in pregnant women, pediatric patient, and patient with comorbidity in coronavirus disease. The individual use of both these hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin drug are associated with QT prolongation. Misuse of hydroxychloroquine without the physician's advice should be avoided due to lack of strong evidences which may result into one or more detrimental side effect. World Health Organization and several other countries like France, Italy, Germany has temporarily paused the clinical trials of hydroxychloroquine on 26 May 2020 owing to safety concerns. I would like to thank Head of Chemistry Department and the Principal of Islab College, Nagpur. Thank you for listening.
Good morning everyone, myself Prajakta Gukle and as I'm working as a lecturer in JSS Degree College, Belgavi. Today I'm going to represent the paper presentation on one-pot synthesis of an anthraquinone derivative catalyzed by alum, spectral characterization and molecular O-series evaluation. Abstract: the anthraquinone is one of the derivative of anthracene. The synthesis of an anthraquinone derivative currently is of a great interest. In the scheme, have focusing on the synthesis of an anthraquinone derivative through green chemical approach using potash alum. Introduction: anthraquinone encloses the two carbonyl groups present in the central benzene ring. Its derivatives are widely used for the manufacture of drugs, also in the manufacture of dyes. The anthraquinone derivative can be synthesized using alum as a catalyst. Since there is no examples of alum used as a catalyst, the anthraquinone can be synthesized by using phthalic anhydride, which is going to react with resorcinol, xylene, toluene, bromobenzene, nitropentane in presence of a potash alum as a catalyst. It is going to give 1,3-dihydroxy 9,10 anthraquinone, 1,4-dimethyl 9,10 anthraquinone, 2-methyl 9,10 anthraquinone, 2-bromo 9,10 anthraquinone, 2-nitro 9,10 anthraquinone. The mechanism is as follows: the Lewis acid catalyst potash alum binds to the oxygen of the carbonyl group. Further, with the release of the catalyst, proton attacks to the lone pair of the oxygen. This gives protonated carbonyl group. Attack of the double bond of the benzene to the OH, which cleaves the 5-membered anhydride. Further attack on the carbonyl group from the benzene ring system to cyclize and get the 6-membered ring. Loss of the water molecule in a stepwise procedure to yield an anthraquinone derivative. The spectral data as follows. The IR data of the compound 1 is in all in the per centimeters. OH stretch 3092 and 3014. CO stretching is 1703. Aromatic CH stretching is 2884 and 2651. Disubstituted stretching is 904. NMR data for the compound 7.4 to 7.8 ppm aromatic protons, 11.1 to 11.7 ppm OH protons attached to the aromatic ring. IR data for the compound 2 are in the per centimeters. CCH3 stretching is at 1995, C double bond O stretching 1703 and 1687, aromatic CH stretching 2644 and 2524, monosubstituted stretching 914. IR characterization for the compound 3 are in per centimeter. CBr stretching is 556, C double bond O stretching 1703, aromatic CH 2605 and 2524, monosubstituted is at 974. IR of the compound 4 is in per centimeters. CNO stretching 1585, C double bond O stretching 1738 and 1722, aromatic CH 2656, 2553, monosubstituted 974. Biological evaluation includes molecular O-series properties. For a new molecule to qualify as a drug candidate, that to be analyzed for the parameters set by the Lipinski's rule of 5 using O-series molecular explorer. This rule is to evaluate drug score or determine if a new molecule with a certain pharmacological or biological activity has properties that would make it likely orally active drug in a humans. This includes toxicity risk assessment, C-log-P solubility, molecular weight, drug likeness, and a drug score. The table number 1 represents these properties of the compounds from 1 to 5. Result and discussion. Already spectral data have been discussed. Molecular O series properties explorer of a compound 1 and 2 with electron donating groups, that is 2 hydroxy and 2 methyl group represent give a good drug score. Compound number 4 with bromo substituted and compound number 5 with the electron withdrawing nitro group gave moderate drug score. Lowest score was attributed to the presence of the electron donating methyl group, which gave unsatisfactory values. Conclusion. The 1-pot synthesis of a substituted 9,10 anthraquinone derivative reaction of a phthalic anhydride and substituted benzene using in the presence of an inexpensive, non-toxic and easily available alum catalyst mixed with the organic solvents has been developed. This method is proved to produce substituted anthraquinone with high yield in short time and has easy workup procedure. From molecular O series property, explorer can conclude that some of the synthesized products can be potentially used as a drug. Lastly, I would like to thank organizing committee for providing such a great opportunity.
Myself, Mr. Dhananjay Palke from Rajarshi Shahu Mahavidyalaya, Latur, Maharashtra. Title of research paper: Synthesis, Spectral and Biological Studies of Transition Metal Complexes of DHA strip base derived from 4-amino 1,2,4-triazole. Herein we synthesize strip base by refluxing dihydroacetic acid, that is DHA, and primary amine 4-amino 1,2,4-triazole in ethanol for about 2 to 4 hours. We get yellow colored strip base, and metal complexes were synthesized by refluxing strip base and metal chloride in methanol for about 2 to 3 hours, and then by adding 1% methanolic ammonia we get colored complexes. Results and discussion. Synthesized strip bases and metal complexes characterized by elemental analysis, infrared and HNMR spectroscopy and biological studies. Number 1. Elemental analysis. Composition of strip base and metal complexes was determined from the elemental analysis. Number 2. Infrared spectroscopy. Formation of strip base was confirmed by disappearing of a band of carbonyl group in DHA and NH2 group in amine was disappear, and a new band at 1646 is appeared, which is assigned to azomethine group, that is carbon nitrogen double bond, which is shifted to lower wave number in all metal complexes, and also CO, enolic CO and CN wave band is also shifted to higher wave number, which indicate involvement of oxygen atom and nitrogen atom in coordination or complexation. HNMR spectrum. Number of signals in HNMR spectrum is equal to number of non-equivalent proton in the proposed structure of strip base indicate or confirm the formation of strip bases. Next, antimicrobial activity. Antimicrobial activity of strip base and metal complexes shown in table and in graphical representation, and it is observed that metal complexes shows strong activity than strip base because of lipophilic character of metal in complexes. Conclusion. Number 1. Composition of strip base and metal complexes determined by elemental analysis. Structure of strip base confirmed from HNMR spectrum. And third, cobalt, copper, and manganese complexes shows strong activity in antibacterial and antifungal activity, while iron complexes shows least activity in antimicrobial complexes.
Hello. Uh, as we know, Corona have become pandemic and it's a possible threat to human lives across the world. And there are no approved drugs or vaccine is currently available to control this COVID-19. So the title of our research is Molecular Docking Study of Phytochemicals Showing Anti-COVID-19 Activity. In our study, we have targeted the empro protein of the coronavirus, which is a very important protein of coronavirus, as it play an important role in mediating the replication and transcription of the virus. So it could be a good target to discover a antiviral agent. Then we have targeted this protein with phytochemicals, biologically active phytochemicals. In phytochemicals, we have focused on flavonols because they are said to be a good inhibitor of replication or transcription process in other viruses. Then we have selected 8 natural molecules and their structures were downloaded using PubChem database, and then they were uploaded on COVID-19 docking server. It's an online interactive server to perform docking analysis on coronavirus structure, in which they have collected or built the structure based on homology of coronavirus. It basically predicts the binding mode between the coronavirus protein and small molecule by implementing of AutoDock Vina, which make it a useful tool for drug discovery of COVID-19. After successful docking, we get to know that out of 8 molecules which we have selected, 3 phytochemicals shows the best results, which was selected on basis of binding score, because negative the binding score, best is the docking pose. So 3 main phytochemicals with high negative scores are niriginin -7.80, eridictol -7.40, hesperidin -7.40. Then the 3D structure visualization of ligand protein complex were done in or seen in Discovery Visualizer, and binding interactions were studied, and therefore from the current molecular docking study it has been concluded that these 3 phytochemical with high negative binding score can act as a AMPRO inhibitor, but need to be explored for more experimental work in regarding to develop of antiviral inhibitors. That's all. Thank you.